Alright, I am back and I am going to make yet another SimCity Buildit video. This one is just going to be a plethora of general information. I'm going to try to go pretty fast. I have a pretty big list here. I'm going to try to get through it all in a timely manner. I think there's a lot of things that we overlook or forget, or maybe we never caught in the first place, weren't aware of. So we're going to just go through here and try to cover a lot of general information. Pretty basic. Right now I'm in a view I don't like the way it is, so I'm gonna rotate things around, which brings us to our first topic: moving things on the screen. If you put your finger on the screen and then slide sideways, you can move your city to relocate yourself wherever you want to be. When you do put your finger on the screen, don't be like me and accidentally touch stuff on a regular basis that you don't want to touch, because, for example, in the stores, if I put my finger on the bottom store with the bag of flour, oops, I just collected flour. And if I didn't want to do that, then I get angry at myself. And a lot of times I will collect taxes or pick up Omega canisters that I did not mean to collect or pick up, or items, and it just frustrates me. But over top of stores, the items you produce are floating in the air. Over top of factories, the items you produce are floating in the air once they are ready for pickup. We're going to move away from that area right now because I want to stay on topic here. You put your finger on the screen, you slide whichever way you want to go. That is how you move around. If you do the two-finger method, generally speaking, I'm going to presume it's a thumb and forefinger, and you put both of those on the screen. If you separate, you can zoom, and if you bring the two fingers together, you can actually move out and get a bigger view. So you can zoom in by putting two fingers and separating, and you can move out, zoom out by bringing them together. So that is how you can look at buildings closer up. If you also use the two-finger method and you swivel, you can turn your city, and this can come in handy, because let's say, for example, right now I don't have tons of stuff up, but let's say, for example, we're looking at these two hats right here. I'm going to try to center on them. These two hats, they're construction hats, and they are indicators that the resident building is available for an upgrade. Now, if there is a green check mark, like for example there's a green check mark by that coin, if there's a green check mark by the hat, that means that I can complete, I have the required items to complete the upgrade. If there is not a green check mark, then I do not have the required items to complete the check mark. But in this particular scenario right now, we can see that there are two construction hats. One is slightly over top of the other. Now, if you get a lot of things on your screen, sometimes they're going to overlap or be too close to each other. I run into this a lot when I'm trying to collect Simoleons, which are the coins that come from the Omega buildings. And a lot of times, if I have a construction hat over top of a building that has a Simoleon to collect, I can't actually get to the Simoleon because the construction hat is over top of it, and in order to get to it, when I try to, I hit the construction hat. So in this case, let's say that we can't get to the right construction hat because the left one is over top of it. There's a way to get around doing this. If we put our two fingers on the screen and swivel, we can see that we can actually make the hats move, and in doing so they can separate. They can separate and become easier. We can also, when we have two fingers on the screen, instead of rotating, we can just push up or down, and it will change the view from a more straight up looking down to a looking from an angle point of view, and that can help as well. Now, in this particular case, I've moved them so that, for example, if I want to touch that hat, I might accidentally collect my ice cream bars, and I don't want to do that. So we can swivel to the exact opposite and get them far away from the ice cream bars. So that is something just to be aware of in order to collect or move or do things. You can rotate your city, you can move your city, you can change the view and the angle and the height and the direction that you're looking at things. So that can come in handy. Now let's talk about relocating buildings. If you have a specialty building, and by specialty building I mean something that provides a service or that you bought with a coin, or a key, not a coin, with a key, I'm sorry. If I got the words right, it would probably be easier. But just as an example, right now, let's look at the Eiffel Tower. We're looking at the Eiffel Tower right here. I'm going to touch the Eiffel Tower, and an information screen comes up. It tells me it's an Eiffel Tower, and then it gives me an icon for that. And in this case, it's a camera, which means that it's a landmark. So that will give me the information about the Eiffel Tower. But if I put my finger on the Eiffel Tower, like I said, the information comes up. But if I put my finger and I hold, then the screen comes up where I can either move the Eiffel Tower. Off to the right hand side we can see a little bulldozer. I'm going to touch that. Do you want to bulldoze this building? Well, no, that'd be kind of dumb, so I'm just going to say cancel. I don't want to bulldoze the building. But if you do accidentally hit the bulldozer, it's not going to go away without you also saying, yes, bulldoze. Just be careful that when you bulldoze something, that's what you want to do. Below the bulldozer on the right hand side of the screen, there is a little blue box with a yellow downward pointing arrow, and that means you can store the item. So for example, I'm going to push that. Well, if my video recorder button wasn't there, I'm going to push the blue button, and again another confirmation screen comes up. I can cancel or I can store it, but I want to store it to show you how to do that. Let's store it. Bam! Now all of a sudden it's in storage, and it opened up my landmark screen so that I have access to all the landmarks that I have, and I can just bring it right back out. And once it is on the screen, once you're on this screen, you can move the building around. You can move it wherever you want. You can bring it over here where it won't fit because it's overlaps another building. You can move it wherever you want to see. If you do move it to a position, even if it does overlap buildings, sometimes it's hard to move. It will show you how much bonus you will get. So for example, if I did put it there after I moved the buildings that were there and made it legal to fit, then I would get 2,907 bonus population. But we're going to bring it back over here. Right now I only get 2,496 bonus, which isn't a lot. It's put in a really bad position bonus wise. However, I have it there because yesterday I did an epic building and I wanted as many landmark buildings up as I could to make my epic achievement go by faster and easier. So we're gonna either check the red cross button, which means cancel everything we've been trying, which is just gonna put it back in my landmark screen, or we can push the green arrow, which means yeah, that's where I want it. So there we go. Now we were in the landmark screen, we still are, bottom right. We're going to push the X and close out of there, and we're back to our original screen. We can relocate any building in the game this way, including houses. So let me show you something here. I'm going to put this in storage right now, and we'll get rid of that. So that's in storage. Now when you have a screen for buildings that is up, in this case landmarks, the only thing you can access is landmarks. So I want to get out of that. I'm going to push the X in the bottom right, and I'm going to come up here to my Omega buildings. Let's just push on this one. I've got a Omega building, and when I've pushed on it, let's X out of there because I don't want to do anything yet. But I'm on my home screen now because I've opened up the residential building screen by pushing on the Omega building. When I push on a building and it opens up that screen, it gives me information. Here you can see it's the residential building screen. I've got a total of 171 residences, At the moment, 0 are abandoned. There are 6 ready for upgrade, which gives me the construction hat over top of them. And of those 171 buildings, 46 are epic, which means I have completed an epic upgrade, which gives me the speed up tokens on 46 buildings. It doesn't give me the breakdown of what kind of speed up tokens I get, but I know that I've got 46. So I'm going to push and hold that Omega building, which then also lets me know the population in that building. Instead of, for example, with a landmark, it tells me the population boost. With a residence, it tells me how many people are actually living in that building. So where it's situated, there are 10,072 residents in that building. I'm going to move that. I'm going to bring this all the way down, and we've noticed that abandoned has lit up because the Omega building has to be within the Omega sphere of influence for the control net, and down here I do not have control net sphere of influence. So as soon as I click the check mark and exit out of this screen, what we are going to see is that there are red people icons over the Omega building now. And if we touch that, we'll see that it says abandoned building, no control net. And in this case, what has happened is the people have moved out of the Omega building. You can have people move out for whatever reason may be the case. Bad roads, they'll move out. No power, no water, no sewage facilities, no garbage collection. Anything that makes them unhappy, they will move out. So you want to be aware that when people move out, your population's going to go down. But the plus side in this game is that when people move out, if you fix the problem, they automatically come back. It doesn't take a long time. It's an automatic thing. Population boosts right back up to full capacity once you fix the problem. And you can leave a problem. For example, in this case, this building has no control net influence sphere around it. So you can leave that problem as long as you want. You can have angry residents and just ignore them and do other things, and it doesn't matter. As soon as you fix the problem, they will come back. So for example, if you're low level, when you hit level 10, all of a sudden you find out, hey, I need police stations, I need fire stations, and I believe at level 10 you also need health facilities, although maybe the health facilities come a little bit later. And suddenly you have angry residents everywhere. And a lot of buildings, for me anyway, a lot of buildings went abandoned because I didn't provide services they required once I hit level 10. And I got really frustrated and I almost quit the game. But the nice thing was, once I started fixing the problem, the people came back. And it didn't matter if they were angry, I could still play the game. And that's important to note, because you don't need the citizens in your city for the factories to run and the stores to run. You can actually run it down to no cities at all, and your factories and stores will still produce items. That's kind of crazy, but there's the way it is. So down here in the bottom right, I need to move my little icon again for my recorder. Down here in the bottom right, we can see there is a red exclamation point, and what this building does, I'm going to push it with the red exclamation point. What this does is it's the services screen, and it shows what services we have and where there is a problem. If it's blue, there's no problem. If it's red, there is a problem. In this case, the control net is the issue. It's the Omega building. We're going to push on it again, make it go away. Or if you have a screen up that you want to go away, most of the time you can put your finger on the screen and just slide sideways and it'll also go away. Let's fix this problem. We're going to push and hold the Omega building, and we're going to move it back up. And as it goes out, we have to move the screen and then touch it again. And sometimes it's a little hard to grab it. And we're going to bring it all the way back up here and put it back into place and touch that green check mark and exit out of this screen, and voila, our population is back up and he is getting happier, and in about 1 minute everybody will be happy again and we'll be at 100% happiness. which then makes sure that we get optimal tax revenue, which is important. All right, so that covers pinch, screen, zoom, swivel, and relocate items. Boom. Now, we've also done touch the buildings. It gives you info. We've also done push the buildings, move, and store. You will notice that buildings that require coins to purchase as opposed to keys cannot be, well, no, that's not true. I was going to say they cannot be stored, but depending on the building, like for example, parks can be stored, so that's not true. Residential buildings, let's do it that way. Residential buildings cannot be stored. They can be bulldozed. You can make them go away, but they cannot be stored. All right, now let's come down here because I think we've covered that topic. Let's come down here and discuss factories really quick. I have right now 10 factories, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them have items that are produced and ready for collection. But let's say I do not want to actually collect them, or let's say, for example, I want to collect the metal but not the wood or the seeds. Well, I can zoom in like I talked about before, and that lets me access the specific building a lot easier. Or, let's make this go away here. Or, let's make this go away here. Thank you. Okay. Or I can simply come up to a building that has nothing. For example, let's touch the factory just above the one with the seeds. And what that does is it lets me open up that factory, see what it is producing, see what it can produce, and how long I have left to wait on items that are in production. So in this case, I'm producing textiles, which most people just call cloth or toilet paper. And what I can produce is a whole lot of stuff here. We'll get to that in a second though. But along the top, it tells me that it's a nanotech factory, which are really the factory that you want to upgrade to as soon as possible, because you can place them anywhere without any negative effect. You can have citizens living right next to them, where all the other factories produce an area of effect where citizens don't want to be around them. So the nanotech factory is the ultimate goal if you want to have happy citizens. But anyway, to the right and left of the nanotech factory name are the yellow arrows that let you actually scroll through your factories. So for example, I'm going to push the right arrow, and that lets me come down to the factory with the seeds in it, and they are ready for collection. I can collect them. We'll come back up again, and the cloth, we can see that it has 59 minutes and 5 seconds, give or take, before I can collect it, so about an hour. And I also have the option to pay cash to collect now. Well, it's not a good idea, in my opinion, unless you're really, 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 really in a time crunch for some crazy reason, to pay cash, or in the game SimBucks, to increase your production speed. I just don't like it. The amount you have to pay is insane. Alright, so we're going to come down here, and let's say I just wanted to collect one seed. I can push on it and collect one seed. And then let's say I wanted to build that one seed back, I can do that. Boom. That lets me collect just one seed. Now in my factories, I always produce all of the same thing, or I try to, unless I have a reason not to, because for me, I don't know, I have OCD and that's what I like to do. But you can put 5 separate things in the same factory. It doesn't matter. Each slot can have anything you want in it. But if you have all the same thing, they produce it within seconds, the same exact time. So we're going to slide through here again. There's my seeds, and then we came down to the metal where I was talking about, and again we can collect from this screen. Scroll through again, scroll through again. Okay, now to get out of this, we have to actually put our finger on the screen and move sideways, and that brings us back to our main screen. Now we cannot tell up here, for example, not conveniently, that there were only 4 seeds available to collect in the top building, because we did collect one. It just looks like a whole pile of seeds. And I suppose if you take the time, 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know, I can't see the difference between the 2 buildings, but maybe there's a way to tell. Alright, so let's go over to our stores. Same basic concept. If I want to produce something in a store, but it has items available for production, how do I access that store to be able to make something without having to collect? Well, here we have flour, we have tape measures, we have an open store, and then we have coffee. Let's push on the open store, and that shows us our fashion store, which is currently, I have all 10 purchasable slots purchased. So that means I can queue up 11 items in this store. Let's move up by hitting the left arrow, and that brings us to the donut shop. Now, I like to have my shops maybe not full on queue, but I do like to have enough so that it does not run out by the time I come back. I want to keep producing non-stop 24 hours a day. May not always happen overnight, and sometimes, depending on how often you play, it's not going to happen, but the more you produce without factories stopping due to lack of items in queue, the more items you will have, the more money you can make. And let's get out of this screen by moving sideways. What you will notice is, even though you have a storage facility that holds a certain number of items, you can actually use your factories and your stores as additional storage. So you have the maximum storage in your storage facility. However, you also have, in the case of stores, up to 11 additional storage slots if you let everything produce and sit. And in the case of factories, with a nano factory, you have 5 available slots to let items sit until you are ready for them. So that actually is one way to get around maximum storage. Just have stuff produced and waiting to be collected. So anyway, I'm going to push here again and then move to the left with the arrow, and it takes me up to the donut shop. Now, I can look at the items that I can produce, and it'll give me information. It tells me the item name, it tells me the production time. In this case, it says bread rolls. Most people just call them buns, but you can call them anything you want. The production time is 51 minutes, and that's because I have 2 stars under the donut shop, and that tells me I've upgraded it twice. Each upgrade lowers the total time required to build the item. I wish there was better upgrades, but that's what it does. And then it tells you how many you have in city storage, which is really useful information. I have 4 bread rolls, I have 4 buns in storage already. Now, do keep in mind that even if they're floating above your store or factory, the total number in city storage does not take what has not been collected into account. So you could have 11 items waiting to be collected, and that doesn't get taken into account with the items in city storage. So just bear that in mind as well. And then it tells you the required items. I need 2 flour bags, I've only got 1, and I need 1 cream, and I have 7. So instead of going to the city storage and scrolling through and trying to figure out things, another easy way to see what you have and what you need is to just come to your stores and access the information off of this screen. Pushing on the coffee, I see that I have 7 cream, I have 11 seeds, and I have 13 sugar and spice in my storage facility. And that is useful information. It's convenient. Sometimes scrolling through storage trying to find what you have can be really annoying. So if the total number of items in queue and the total number of items floating above the city waiting to be produced is equal to the total number of open slots I have in my production queue, in this case with the donut store, 11 total slots, the 1 that is currently being produced and the 10 that are waiting in queue, although I don't have them all filled. If I have maximized the number of items in queue and floating above the building, I cannot put any more in queue. So let's scroll sideways and I'll try to show you what I mean. I believe that with this one I have maximum amount, but maybe not. Let's try to figure this out. Okay, so I want to produce more drills. I have 4 open slots. I'm going to put 1 up there. It lets me do it. I'm going to put another one up there, and it says collect finished items first. That's because I have 3 items floating above my hardware store waiting to be collected, and that is the maximum number of items in queue and waiting to be produced that this store can hold. So I can't put another one in queue until I've collected 1 item. So let's collect 1 item, and then let's come back up here and scroll down, and bam, I can make another drill. And in this case, I made a drill and only collected 1 item, and in order to access the store without collecting all of the items, I had to come into it from another building. So you push and then you access via the arrow. Alright, enough of that. I think we've got that. Let's come over here to the factories again. When you collect something, whether it's from the stores or the factories, in this case let's deal with the Viagra or the blue pill or the plastic, whichever you want to call it. The bottom factory here, it's technically plastic, but it sure looks a lot like a blue pill. The bottom factory here has plastic waiting to be collected. Now I want to collect it, and the only easy way to collect it is to tap the screen for each item you want, whether you're in the factory or whether you're looking at the top of the factory. So I'm gonna 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to collect all that plastic. It goes up into my storage facility, and then I'm going to access this factory. Now when you collect, you have to tap the screen as many times as you want to collect, but when you build, you can drag and drop. And I just recently learned this, so it's really important to me that I share this, because this made my life so much easier. Instead of taking, for example, the plastic and then moving it sideways 1 and dropping it over top of the factory, which lets me put 1 plastic in queue or 1 Viagra pill, whichever one you want to call it, I can put my finger on the plastic, hold it, and just slide over the production queue, and it fills it all up. Bam. That is amazing, and I'm sorry I did not know how to do that until approximately a week ago. And thank you, Lion, and thank you, Emerald, for just confirming that that was something that could be done. And wow, that is so much easier. So getting out of this screen, let's see what we want to have next. We have access all that information. Let's deal with what you definitely want to do daily. Right now, we're going to come down and focus on this building with the rotating gold coin above it. This is where we collect taxes. There is no way to access this building from the side, so if there is a gold coin above it and you want to get your tax information, to the best of my knowledge, there is no way to do it without collecting the taxes. We're going to collect the taxes, and 627 simoleons go up into our bank. And then we're going to push on this button. This is the city hall, and it shows that our tax rate is 20%, and in 1 hour, in 1 day, which is a 24-hour period, we collect a maximum total of 24,487 simoleons, or coins, or whatever you want to call them. So you can call them gold, whatever. They have weird names in this game. Most people call stuff whatever they want. So it is my experience that if you leave it for more than 24 hours, it maxes out at the total 24,487, and anything else that it would collect is lost. Now that is my experience. If I'm wrong, please somebody correct me, but that's why you want to do it every day, because everything over that amount in a 24-hour period is lost. So we got out of that screen. Now we're going to come up here, and I'm going to push and hold this, and it tells me on the bottom we've got the name, the town hall. Okay, so I'm just going to push it now. If I push on the town hall, it brings up my city journal, and if you're low level and you haven't completed these, it's kind of information that is useful. You can see what you have to do yet. I have completed everything in my city journal, so for me this building now is kind of annoying. And then I'm going to push and hold on this one. This is the mayor's mansion. This is where I have my basement and my friends come and visit, and I call them house guests. but that's a whole different topic. The Mayor's Mansion, if we get out of this screen, the Mayor's Mansion, if we just touch it, this brings up our achievements. And achievements are cool because every time you complete an achievement, you get SimBucks or you get cash, whichever one you want to call it. And for example, let's look at Master Captain. The gold ones with the 3 stars above them are completed, and the blue ones that do not have the 3 gold stars above them are not completed. So we have the Master Captain. We got to complete 300 cargo shipments. I am 5 away. So in this case, okay, I have said in previous videos that the cargo ship is actually a bunch of rubbish and useless, but okay, I stand corrected. I had forgot about the achievements. Earning SimBucks, earning cash in-game is very useful, so I do want to go back and do more cargo boat deliveries because I want to get the achievements, because I want to get the cash. So in that regard only, cargo boat deliveries are not total rubbish once you hit level 40. Alright, so we can see we got a lot here left to do, and there are many things that you can do. The one thing that I find interesting is, for example, let's find it here. We got Mad Scientist. You can unleash 250 disasters. And in this case, I'm quite a ways off of it. But then if I come over here, there is also a Lunatic Scientist where you unleash 300 disasters. And what really confuses me is why the Lunatic Scientist is after that, and I'm confused easily. But anyway, you have achievements and you can earn cash and you can do all kinds of things. And at the very far right, we have a Smoggy City achievement, which is provide coal or oil power to 25 residential zones. And I never actually produced a coal or oil power plant, so it looks like unless I go back to crappy energy production, I'm never going to get that achievement, which is kind of disappointing. Alright, now on this screen, you can't get out of it. Oh, yes, you can. There we go. I had to access the very top to be able to move sideways, but there's also an X at the top, which makes it easier to exit out of. Alright, now that is your tax bonus, and you want to collect it every day. Sometimes you want to wait and hold off for a while, because if you're doing, for example, a mayor challenge, sometimes you will have assignment requesting you to collect a certain amount of simoleons, and the taxes work towards that collection assignment. So if you have, for example, 24,487 simoleons waiting to be collected, and you get an assignment that says collect 19,000, bam, you can pick up your taxes and get that completed right away. Another thing that you want to do every day is take your daily bonus. Up here on the top right, we have the Simoleon icon, then we have the SimBuck icon, and to the right of those we have the green plus sign, or whatever you want to call it. On the Simoleon line, I'm going to push the green plus sign, and this brings up our buy more stuff for real money screen, which a lot of times you just want to ignore because you can pay money to buy SimBucks or cash in the game. I don't like to do that. I have done it. They occasionally offer special discounts where you can get the 250 SimBucks for 99 cents. And at that point, just because I love having SimBucks, I will do it. But on the far left, there is your daily bonus, and this happens once a day, and if you don't get it every day, then you miss out. I think it happens at like 2 or 3 in the morning for where I live anyway. It probably is different depending on what part of the world you live in. But you have the full time remaining during the day to collect this. You just come to this screen and you would hit the claim button. It would be highlighted and you would collect a free daily bonus. It's the far left. It says free and it says daily bonus. And at the bottom, the claim would be highlighted and you would be able to access it and claim it. So there is that. That is a daily thing that you want to do, daily bonus and taxes. Another thing that you want to do is on the far left side of the screen. I don't know why I'm moving my building to the left to access the left side of the screen, because it doesn't change. All that changes is the background. But on the far left side of the screen, you have our settings, which is the wrench and the screwdriver. And we have our three little people. Now, if we push the three little people, that brings up our friend bar. And when you first start the game, the only person on the friend bar is Daniel. And let's push Daniel, and we're going to go to Daniel's City. And when we go to Daniel's City, I don't believe he has items for sale yet, because I have gone, yes. When we go to Daniel's City, it will zoom in on his trade depot, and if there is a blue icon over it, he has stuff for sale, and he sells everything at what a lot of people refer to as club rates or base rates, and it's about 2/3 of the price of the full price of an item. Maybe it's only half, I don't remember exactly. But you can purchase stuff from Daniel, and the higher level you get, the more likely it is that you'll get good quality items for sale from him. When you first start, he sells you wood and metal and stuff that you need. We're going to push the top home button and go back to our city. But every day, at approximately the same time, which I have no idea when it is, Daniel will put stuff up for sale, and you want to make sure that you do that. Now, we are back in our city, and it put us on the view that I do not like. I'm going to come up here now, and because I am of the proper level and I have built it, the City of Tomorrow is an achievement I have made, and the Neo Mall is built. Now, when you open the Neo Mall, it refreshes every 6 hours. However, like everything in the game, if you open it, say for example at noon, and it starts the 6-hour timer, if you don't get back to it until 10 o'clock at night when you open it, it starts fresh again at the 6 hours. However, because 6 hours have passed, whatever was in there no longer is. It refreshes immediately upon opening. So you have 6 hours. In my case, it's down to 4 hours and 46 minutes. You can see that at the bottom. You have 6 hours in which you can purchase stuff with Neo Simoleons. In my opinion, this is just the way I play, the Neo Mall, for the most part, is designed to buy VOO items. You need to increase your Omega buildings to increase your Neo Simoleon production to allow yourself to buy VOO items, because that's what you want and that's what you need when you do the higher level mare challenges. So the Neo Mall and the Neo Simoleons and the Omega buildings are all about buying VOO items. That's just my opinion. That's how I do it. There's a lot of stuff you can purchase here. You can get the gold speed up token. You can buy specialty items. In this case, there's a dozer blade and a French bread up for sale. Or if you're trying to upgrade a particular Omega building, sometimes they sell Omega items in here. And the Omega items sell for about 25 million times more than you get from them if you sell them, which really sucks. And yes, that's a slight exaggeration, but not by much. But yes, this is also a way to collect Omega items if you were trying to upgrade one of your Omega buildings, and that is also very useful. So that's the Neo Mall, and you just want to keep in mind that once you open it and it starts that 6-hour timer, bam, you've got 6 hours, and then it'll automatically refresh the next time you open it after that 6-hour time has expired. However, like I said, if you open it at noon and start the 6-hour timer, and you get back to it at 8 o'clock at night, which is 8 hours, when you open it, it resets at 6. It does not start at 4, so it doesn't actually reset the timer until you open it. Here we have our Omega buildings, and floating above them are the Neo Simoleons, and we can collect these by tapping on it. And if we tap multiple buildings all at once, we collect a whole gob of them all at once. But I wish there was an easy way to just say, please collect all of them. And if there is an easy way to do this, easier than what I am doing, please somebody tell me, because this gets really annoying. and sometimes you miss a Neo-Simoleon that's just floating around somewhere and you really wish you had it, and you have to scroll through and look and get annoyed. Alright, I think I've collected them all. We're going to zoom out here just a little bit. I want to make sure that I don't accidentally hit my ice cream bars because I don't want to collect them yet, and sure enough, there are 2 more Neo-Simoleons, 3 more, and I am going to swivel the buildings around, and still it's not perfect, and collect them. Whew. It is such a complicated task sometimes. Neo-Simoleons should be easy to collect by pushing on the building and say collect all, and that is not an option that I'm aware of, and that really aggravates me. Alright, so Neo Mall is done. We are halfway through our list. This is a long video, and I apologize for that. Let's talk about selling and advertising and full capacity. Right now we're going to zoom in here on our trade depot, and we can see that above our trade depot is a blue box with 2 blue arrows coming around it. That simply means that something has sold in your trade depot. Let's open it up, and the available simoleons are ready to be collected. So for example, whatever I sold here that was 1,590, if I push on the box, I can collect those simoleons. And same over here, I'm going to collect that. That was coffee. And I'm going to come through here and collect those. Now, I don't remember exactly, but I have purchased every available slot in my trade depot. So let's count how many there are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Alright, so there are 32 available slots. You start with, I can't remember, 3, 4, 5, and then you can pay 10 sim bucks to open up another slot to sell in. Now this is not important early on to open up this, but as the game progresses, if you sell a lot, then you will eventually want to open up all 32 slots to sell items. If you don't sell actively on the global market, you probably don't need to do this. You can spend your sim bucks on something else. I try to sell actively, and this is key because the way you play may not be the way I play, so take what I say and adapt it to your play style. If you don't sell a lot of stuff, which a lot of people in my club here do not sell on the global market, having 32 open spots probably isn't going to be that useful to you. Or at least don't waste your sim bucks on them until you have a lot to spare. Put it on other stuff first. Alright, so when we sell, we can put items up, and if we want to advertise them, let's go on this far right, create new sale. If we want to open up and sell something, create new sale box, it will open our inventory list, and we can scroll through here without any negative effect, even if we push on something and it highlights it. And then we can highlight something we want to sell. Let's say I want to sell nails. Over here on the right hand side, I can switch between sugar and nails. On the right hand side, on the top, I can push the up and down arrows, and I can go between 1 and 5. 5 is the maximum you can stack up in the trade depot. And then I can also go up and down on my price. Now if I push the down arrow and then kind of slide sideways, it'll go all the way down to 1. If I push and hold the up arrow, it kind of zooms in a hurry all the way to full. But if I push and hold, it doesn't really go down as fast as it does going up. If there's an easier way to get down to 1, I would love to hear that too. Underneath this box, once we've decided what we want to sell, underneath this box is the advertise option, and right now it is checked. I'm going to uncheck it. We can advertise something, and you'll notice it will last for 12 hours. What that means is the item will be put into the global market database, and people can, but they won't always, see it, because there are a lot of items for sale in the global trade, and they only see a small handful of those items every time they open the global trade window. So when you advertise something, some people will see it, some people won't. It will be up for 12 hours to be seen by anyone going to the global market. The key there that you have to remember is if you have one item advertised in your trade depot, that will allow people that see it to be able to click on it and come to your trade depot. Once they are in your trade depot, they see everything that is listed. So let's say, for example, I put something up and I advertise it, but I don't want people to buy stuff that's in my trade depot other than that item. I have just screwed myself, because once people get to your trade depot, it doesn't matter what you have advertised, they access everything in your trade depot, even if you didn't list it as advertised. Now, if you put an item up and you advertise it, it's free. You can advertise it for free. However, if you put an item up and you advertise it, there is a 45-second timer before you can advertise for free again. If you want to click advertise over and over and over when you're putting stuff up, you have to pay, I believe it is $1 SimBuck to avoid that 45-second timer. And again, I don't like paying SimBucks, but I have accidentally done it, and it annoys me. But do keep in mind, if one item is advertised, for all intents and purposes, every item is advertised in your trade depot. So if you are posting something for a club member and you have stuff advertised, it is not safe to just put it up and say, hey, we're all good. So let's put this up. We're gonna do the nails, and we're gonna put it up for 80, because when I sell stuff on the global market, I like to maximize the price because I want to make as much profit as possible. And we're going to put this one nail for sale at 80, boom. And we notice that there is the trade icon in the top left of that box. It shows that it is advertised on the global market. Now if I click the create new sale box just below it, what we see here is free advertising. It said 45 seconds and the timer starts going down. We can't advertise again until that timer hits 0 unless we want to pay that $1 SimBuck. Now, when you're advertising, like I said, one advertised item basically advertises everything in your trade depot. However, technically that's not the case, because, for example, let's say you advertised a refrigerator. Not many people want to buy a refrigerator, especially if you put it up for full price. So the likelihood that someone will actually come to your depot is much lower than, for example, if you advertised a VU item, which everyone wants to buy and will bring lots of people to your trade depot. So just bear that in mind. That is the trade window selling advertising, full capacity. Okay, let's talk about the friend bar real quick. Again, friend bar, Daniel's on there. If you have friends on Facebook, you're friends with them, they're friends with you. It is done on Facebook. When you access the game, if they are playing the game as well, they automatically get put onto your friend bar. Now, let's click the settings. If for some reason they are not on your friend bar and they're friends and you know they play, come over to your settings, log out of Facebook, log in with Facebook, and it will update and reset your friend bar. And then anybody that is a friend will be there. Now, I bring this up now because it is key to note that if you have friends that are not, for example, in your club, they can access your trade depot at any time. So if you go to, for example, the SimCity Facebook page and you make a comment, and it's a really good comment, some people will send you a friend request on Facebook just because they presume, wow, this guy's a good player, I want to be his friend. And you say, hey, cool, I want to be their friend too, because there's an achievement. And if you get, say, for example, 30 friends, you get the Master Socializer achievement, and that earns you SimBucks. However, if it's just some idiot that you don't know that lives, say, for example, in the Ukraine, they immediately have access to your trade depot 24 hours a day, whether you have access, whether you have put items up for advertised or not, whether there are items for sale or not, if your trade depot is full or empty or anywhere in between, all they have to do is access their friend bar, click on your city, and they can come to your trade depot. That is one last thing to keep in mind. That's why I bring it up now, because when you have club members that you try to sell stuff to, it is possible, if you have a friend that is not in your club and you have nothing advertised in your trade depot, they can access your trade depot and buy stuff at any time. All right, let's close out of there. That takes care of the friend bar. Now, we have the beach expansion, we have the mountain expansion, we have land expansion. If you, for example, come down here and click on an expansion area that is not connected to an area that you currently have access to, like for example, I can place beach items in this one next to my soccer stadium. Boom, I have purchased that. However, this one here I have not purchased. So if I touch an item I have not yet purchased for expansion, it will open up the information bar, the information screen, the information pop-up for what I need. I need 16 total life belts, and I only have one. I need 16 total ship wheels, I only have 3, and I need 16 total scuba masks, and I have 0. One thing that is useful here is, even if you're not trying to expand, if you touch on this little block, it will tell you what you have in your storage. So if you, for example, have a club member that says, hey, does anybody have beach items? Instead of scrolling through your storage, you can actually access it immediately by pushing on the piece of land, in this case a beach piece of land that is connected to what you already have, and it will tell you what you have in storage. I have 1 life belt, I have 3 ship wheels, and I have 0 scuba masks. Now I know when I scroll through storage, I know where to go, because it is located in storage by the number of item you have. The higher the number, the higher it is in your storage list. For example, there we go, 23 nails, that's the number 1 item. All right, now if you collect items for land expansion, be aware, for example, this one is 11 items, this is 10, as I go sideways, this is 9, this is 8. So if you're thinking to yourself, hey, how many items do I still need, but you push on this one, for example, and you look and it says, wow, I need 20 to get that land item, and I've only got 7 or 4, wow, that sucks. But just bear in mind, if you really want to expand over here, you're most of the way there. You only need 4 wheels and 1 each exhaust and blade. So if someone says to you, you're like, I'm looking for dozer items, and you, how many do you need? Well, if you push here, you need a lot more than if you push over here. And I'm sorry, this is a very long video now, but it is, in my opinion, a lot of useful information. Okay, so that brings us to sale offers. In your city, you have coins that show up over buildings, and they are sale offers. Now, it is important to note, sale offers do not show up when you have an epic building upgrade in process. If you're trying to upgrade an epic building, you get no sale offers at all, period. They are canceled for the duration of your epic building upgrade process. So this guy wants to buy 4 refrigerators from me. He's willing to pay 3,525 simoleons. Refrigerators sell for I don't know, 1,000, something like that, simoleons. So on the open market, I could sell them for 4,000. He wants to pay me 3,500. No thanks, you're trying to rip me off. People like that I don't need in my life. There's a lot of stress there, and it's not worth it. Okay, so we have all the construction hats and whatnot that show that they can be upgraded, but up here, Oh look, someone has purchased something from my trade depot. I bet it's the nail. Let's go look. Indeed, somebody purchased the nail. They did not, even though they had access to my trade depot, they did not purchase anything else. Okay. Sale offers. If you do have a sale offer that shows up in your city, it doesn't always stay in the same spot. As the particular resident that is offering that sale, for example, in this case, it's police officer, 3 hammers, 270, whatever, it's a waste of time. If you decide you want to keep that, so you just leave it, and maybe you don't have enough items, in this case I do, that's why the green check mark is there. If you come back in like 5 minutes, it could be way up here. It could be at a different building entirely. It moves around. You have to chase it. You have to make sure it's the one that you really want. If you come down here and you just automatically say, oh, this must be it, and you open it, it could be an entirely different sale. And I've had that happen and actually sold items that I didn't want to sell because I wasn't paying attention, because the coin does move, and that is very, very annoying. So sale offer, coin moves, and sale offers, including Omega items. Sometimes you get options to sell Omega items, and there's a couple key things to remember here. Omega items also do not show up for sale. You do not get the sale offers for Omega items when you have the Epic Building Achievement in progress. If you're trying to upgrade, and this building right here that has the gold hat with the arrow, the feathers, I don't know, who is that, Ares? There's some god that had the hat with the wings. This particular icon shows you the Epic project, and if you have started it and if you are doing it, you do not get sale offers, including the Omega sale offers. But there's also the fact that the Omega sale offers do not show up unless you have a certain percentage of your Omega storage filled with Omega items. We're going to touch the Omega storage right now. I have 27 out of 45, and it is my experience that unless I have 28 or more in storage, I will not get sale offers. You can make good money by selling Omega items. You can make crap money by selling Omega items, Simoleons in this case. So don't sell unless you're going to make money that makes you happy. But you have to have a certain percentage of your storage facility filled. In my case, it's 28 out of 45, or that is my experience anyway. And you cannot have an Epic building upgrade in process. All right, that takes care of that. Real quick, we want to keep this under an hour if we can. Roads. Over here on the right, we have the road icon. When you bring that up, you can build a road because it's set up on the roller. But if we go down to where the construction hat and the traffic light is, this lets us check our road status. Roads can be green, which means there's not much traffic on them ever, and that's not a problem. Roads cannot be any color at all, just there, and that means there is normal flow of traffic. Roads can have a yellow highlight on them, which means you need to upgrade them or people are going to be angry, and it doesn't take very long for them to get angry. Or roads can be red and be highlighted in red, and that means you have to upgrade them or people will move out. And most of the time, if they are red, people have moved out before you notice it. So again, they will come back. All you have to do is upgrade the road. Key piece of information to remember: if you have a road to upgrade and it's a long section of road and you just don't have the simoleons to do it, take a building out, build a road section in between and cut that road in half, and then the simoleon cost will be reduced in half. Or cut it down to a third. Move a building and cut it down to a third, so it will only take a third as many simoleons to upgrade a section of road. It doesn't solve the entire problem, but it lets you get some of your citizens back. It lets you solve a portion of the problem. You can reduce the cost if you have simoleon issues, and that is a very useful bit of information. People moving will come out. icons over buildings. Let's, again, here we have this sale offer. It was the hammers. I'm not interested. No thanks. I don't sell hammers because I need them more often than not for myself. Over here in the Mayor Island, we have the 3 little dots. And what that means is somebody has said something that you have not read. If you want to access the Mayor chat box, all you have to do is push on that. It'll open it up. You can scroll back and catch up on everything that was said. Unfortunately, you can only scroll back a certain length of time, and it's actually quite a bit of time, but depending on how much people have talked, it can go and go and go and go and go and go and go. You can actually run out. I'm not going to get this under an hour. And it just goes and goes and goes. And there we go. Finally, we get to the end of the club chat, and we push the little arrow on the left to access out of this. We bring it up again, and it takes us to the bottom of the chat box, so we don't have to scroll all the way again. Over here, club chat, if we push on the words that someone has written, they have a little word box. If we push on that, we can access their city. It brings up their city information. Emerald City, she's level 43, she's a vice president. We can visit by clicking the little airplane icon in the bottom right that says visit. We can come over to the member list, and we can push on a member and highlight their city information, and we can visit them that way. We can access the frequently asked questions about Mayor's Clubs here. We can go back to club chat and keep up, and we can tap here and it will open up, so we can enter our message and click done down in the bottom right. However, there is an X just above the done, and a lot of times you will accidentally hit done when you mean to hit X and undo something that you didn't want to write and send a message that you hadn't finished, and that's annoying. Alright, I think that covers everything. I'm sorry this is so long. There's a lot of information in here, and I think a lot of it is really useful, and I hope it helped you. And again, I apologize for the length of this. If there's anything you want me to talk about, feel free to let me know. But that's general information for SimCity. I hope you find it useful.